The expulsion of French troops and companies from Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso represents a significant shift in African governance, underscoring a newfound emphasis on sovereignty. This emerging leadership is actively rejecting France's long-standing dominance in the region. In light of Air France's financial struggles, the extent of France's dependence on African markets becomes alarmingly clear. The daily revenues of the airline have been severely affected by the loss of access to the Sahel, illustrating the desperate need to restore its former profitability. Historically, France's extraction of African resources has been a cornerstone of its economy, despite the country lacking substantial natural reserves. This systematic exploitation has led to the underdevelopment of African nations, while France has rebranded and profited from their resources. Furthermore, Italy's Prime Minister has brought to light France's exploitative contracts that have stripped African countries of their wealth while enriching French companies. This revelation serves as a reminder of the enduring legacy of colonial economic practices. In response, the Sahel nations are dismantling the economic structures that once enforced their dependence on France, aiming for genuine political and economic autonomy through military coups and the nationalization of resources. The withdrawal of Air France from the Sahel stands as a symbol of the decline of French economic dominance, as the airline faces significant backlash from the newly established revolutionary governments. Niger's military government has suspended uranium exports, directly impacting France's nuclear energy supply and compelling the nation to source alternatives at higher costs. This disruption is already leading to immediate financial repercussions. Amidst these changes, resource nationalism is surging in the Sahel region. Countries like Mali and Burkina Faso are expelling French companies while forming partnerships with Russian and Chinese firms for mining operations, effectively undermining France's historical influence in the area. Consequently, the decline of French mining interests in Africa has resulted in considerable corporate losses. Companies like Endeavour Mining now face restrictions and possible nationalization, signaling a profound shift in the control of resources. Niger's decision to freeze oil exports to France further underscores the trend of African nations prioritizing new partnerships with countries such as China and Russia, effectively sidelining French energy interests in the region. Moreover, the collapse of traditional French infrastructure dominance in West Africa signals a transformation where local African businesses are increasingly prioritized for investments, ensuring that resources and profits stay within Africa rather than flowing to Paris. This growing anti-French sentiment across former colonies indicates a broader movement away from economic dependence on France. Nations like Ivory Coast and Cameroon are starting to re-evaluate their relationships with the French state. In contrast, France's strategic push to re-enter Africa through Air France reveals deeper intentions for economic and military engagement, reflecting a desperate bid to reclaim influence in the region. However, countries like Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso remain resolute in rejecting France's attempts to reassert control, demonstrating their commitment to sovereignty. This resistance signifies a critical shift in the dynamics of African leadership. Ultimately, the rise of a new Africa calls for equitable partnerships and economic justice, highlighting a significant move away from exploitative relationships. This transformation points to a pivotal change in global economic relations.